Hello, everybody. Welcome. Just want to make sure my volume's okay. Hope you can hear me. Welcome, everybody. Before I went on, both animals came in and my screen fell down and it was wild. So I had to just put back everything together and I can feel it like wobbling. So if it falls, I guess. What are you going to do? Welcome, everybody. Happy Sunday. I hope you're all doing well. Just a couple of things before we move on. Just a couple of business things. One is if you are interested in the empath workshop that's coming up on March 6th, send me an email at intuitiview@gmail.com and I'll send you the info. I don't have it in my, just like my regular stuff. It's just like a kind of a one-time thing. So, sorry. If you're interested in that, just send me an email and just say I'm interested in the empath workshop. It's 4 classes with discussion and kind of helping with what people may be going through right now with all of the crazy energies and kind of how to handle things that are happening as an empath in your everyday life, but also in the world. So that is going to be 4 classes all through the month of March. It'll be on Thursday evenings, and it's an hour. It's just an hour. So if you're interested, let me know. And then the other thing is I added a few reading appointments, and you can, everything's in the description. So just go in the description. But you can go to the website intuitiview.com and look at those if you're interested. And I think that's it. We've had an impersonator, like an Intuitiview impersonator in the comments in our on our kind of our post section where I post things. And if you see that, and it's like telling you like to go to a different website, or it's telling you to give to something or something, I never do that. So if I tell you something, it's usually on here, like I'll tell you with my own self, or I'll post it myself. So, but I won't do that in the comments. So if you get anything like that, just report it. And we will, Cassie's trying to stay right on top of those because she catches things like that more than I do. So hopefully we'll put a stop to that. I thought there was one more thing, but if I'll say it at the end if I think of it. But those couple of things anyway for now. Okay, so I hope everybody's doing well. I had one, and you're always welcome to send questions by email before the broadcast if you're not able to make it live. But I had just one question that came in. It was from Patricia. And the question was, does the Christian belief that if you ask for forgiveness for something, your slate is wiped clean? Wiped clean. I think what she's asking is, will it come up in your life review? Because she's saying your after death life review. What will it come up? There, if you've already said, I'm sorry about it, I didn't, whatever, if it's wiped clean. And so, I looked at this before I got on, I asked about it. It's the other thing with the email questions, I can kind of, go into a meditation and ask the question. And they're kind of like, the review isn't to tell you all the stuff you've done wrong. That's not what the review is for. In fact, we really like and appreciate the review because it helps us to remember what has happened, but also to be able to look at your own life with different perspective, with basically this perspective of your higher self. because when you leave your body, you're your higher self. That's you. That higher consciousness, that's you. That's what goes on. And so to be able to look at the life as a whole is very helpful. And think of it, and I feel like when I looked at this with my guides, it felt like you guys are too hung up on on like good and bad, or doing the right thing and the wrong thing. And really it's hard to understand here, because everything is polarized. Everything is it good? Is it bad? Is it right? Is it wrong? And then, you know, praise and punishment, right? You get accolades or you get punished, you know. So they're saying it's not that. And so they're kind of like, think of it as, you know, like learning in school. And when you kind of learn a subject and then you have a final, it's kind of going over all the stuff you've learned. It's not, and it's seen very, it's you. You're the one responding to everything. Everybody is just there. Your guides are there to just be the support. They're not there to judge it. They're not there to judge you. They're just there as support. And it's showing you kind of the things that might be helpful, just to kind of look at that life. And what it's doing as well is because the NDEers, right, they'll talk about having your life review. It's gone over with a fine-tooth comb. And then we go back and we look at other stuff. It's a very long and drawn out process, and we do it again and again and again. When someone has an NDE, they just do it once, right? But we as spirits like to go over everything, especially when we go into planning the next incarnation. Then we really want to go through everything and think, oh, did I really learn as much as I could from this, or what? It's for us. And so, you know, if you had an experience and you felt you did the wrong thing here, and you said, you know, I'm you know, sorry about this, that's the main thing, is that you just learned from it. You learned what you needed to learn. And so it may come up and it may not, but if you've learned it, it doesn't matter. It's just there, like photographs from a school year or whatever. It's just there. But nothing is ever like, what about this? You did that, you know, nothing is like that. They don't want to, you know, it's not for torture. And it's not even for judgment. It's for you to look at it and decide what you've learned. And it's also, you know, a sense of accomplishment. You know, it's such a big deal to go into the earth realm. It's such a big deal. They're also saying that, came in. They're also saying that the life review, part of the life review, is to get you back that perspective that you have when you're looking at your life review. It's also to get you back kind of assimilated to the other side, to see like, oh, that was my life, and I'm not that, I'm this, and I'm watching that. So it's kind of like to get you back into, like, integrated back into the other side. And that's another reason why it's kind of like it's shown to you. So it's a part of the integration process as well when you go home, to remind you what you are and what you aren't, right? You're not this, this is just an experience, and you could learn things, and that's it. The other thing I wanted to bring up, which I feel like they're kind of tapping on my shoulder, there's been a lot of things where people say, and just recently, and I brought this up before, but I feel like they want me to bring it up again, which is that this idea that we have to incarnate, and that we're thrown back in, and we have this, some kind of punishment. We have to do this. They're like, no. It's our choice. It's our choice. And some of us have been here from the very beginning. So it's like, we just want to keep on coming back and seeing the project forward, you know, seeing the experience forward, both on the micro level, on a personal level, but then on a world level, or a country, or you know, men and women, and, all of these things, we kind of want to see them through. And so, and it depends on your personality too. If you're a person that really wants to work on every single little thing, you'll come back and, a ton of times, and you might have a very similar life because you're just trying to get something. And then other people, they like really, I've had readings like this where people really like lifetimes that are very extremes, have very extreme lifetimes. Other people they like to concentrate on the physical form and having the most expansive experience in the physical form they can, and learn all about the body. So they might be really physically fit and do all these physical things at the beginning, and then later on have kind of I think of Christopher Reeve, right? That idea where he was like really physically fit, everything was about his body being in perfect condition and everything. And then even Superman, right? And then later on had this other completely opposite experience to fully experience the physical form. So it's very individual, but we're never forced to come back. If we want to, our guides will encourage us and say, do you want to work on your life now? But we're never forced. We're not forced to come back. It's something that we enjoy, that we want to do. That what sometimes happens too is that it's just fun. It's just fun. We just like it. Like going to an amusement park, It's like some things are scary and some things are really fun, and it gets tiring, and all of those things. So, but it's not we're not forced. Okay, so I just wanted to bring that back. Sarah kind of tapping on my shoulder. Okay. So Gina, angels. Is angel DNA in humans possible? Which archangels are guarding the USA? All right. So and just so you know, if you're new, I am doing the spiritual questions. If you have any, and if I know the answer, like if it's come up before, or if it's come up in my personal practice, or if it's come up in readings, I'll talk about it. But if I don't know, like this, I don't know at all, I will ask my guides to kind of, what's the deal? What's the deal with angels? Here comes Ishmael. Here comes the kitty again. Here, my kitty's here. So they're talking about, hello. They're talking about, so like DNA as we know it, right? DNA is, it's what makes us up as, it's our whatever, our fingerprint kind of. It's the thing that is very individual, and it can be, it has to do with ancestry. And so they're saying that they're saying yes and no, because they're saying yes, there are, because they're putting it as almost like in psychometry, right? We always talk about stop. You need to stop. In psychometry, right? When you read an object, we say like it's almost like there's memories in the object. And so it's kind of a spiritual fingerprint. They're saying there's that kind of thing in certain people. It's more of an energy. It's not really like physical DNA like we think of it, but they're saying, spiritual DNA, that could be kind of what it is, because it's very, it really does tell you as well kind of who you are or what you are as a spiritual being. They're kind of like in that way, everybody has it. When you're talking about angelic, they're saying that's a little bit different. And I almost feel like maybe I don't have the knowledge or something to understand fully, but when it comes to angelic, they're kind of like not really like we would think of it, but everybody has a spiritual makeup. And I feel like too that it has to do with how we connect as like spiritual family and things like that. How we have like we come with groups and stuff. It seems like there's a similarity in everybody, just like in a family, everybody would have blue eyes or, you know, something like that. There's something like that that's in our spiritual DNA, our makeup as spirits that connects us. That's similar to each other. They're also talking about the spirit part of us, that pure spirit part is all, it never changes. That is always the same. But they're saying that it expands with experience, and it expands with time. What we would think of as time, it's not quite the same as it is here. It's not like that linear time, but that you kind of, the things that you have experienced and that you learn and that you know and that you, and they're adding like the earthly experience into that like expansion. So they're saying you can expand, but that I guess it can be a DNA, like a spiritual DNA is always the same. That never changes. Just like our bodies get bigger, but our fingerprints never change, you know, that kind of thing. It's that principle. Angels guarding the U.S. Let me, I don't even know if I answered that, but hopefully that was enough of an answer. I feel like I'm limited in this, in what they're trying to say, but basically not not the way we think of physical DNA, but there's a makeup of some kind that is spirit that is in all of us, and that is and they're saying like it varies, like where you spent most of your time or where you're comfortable and that kind of thing. It can vary. It can be different for everybody when it comes to that spiritual stuff. But that beginning piece never changes. That's always the same, and it's always perfect. Okay. Okay, let me ask about this. Which are archangels are us? So they're saying that any any archangels that they're bringing up, like Archangel Michael, Ariel, you know, it's almost like any archangels that are known on the earth plane. Those are the ones. It's like those are like the go-to, you know, for the earth plane. And one reason that they're known is because they're with the earth plane. They're here all the time, assisting, guiding, helping. And I feel like too that, because they're showing me like thousands and thousands and thousands of angels. And they're kind of like it's almost like they are just like you'd have like the mayor of a city or the governor of a state, kind of the representation or the representative. That's kind of what they are. They're like a representation, and it's almost like of a type of energy. They don't even have like a angel representatives, like they're a representative of a type of energy, angel energy or angel makeup. They're that's what they are. But yeah, so that's I hope that answers that question, Gina. Okay. M. Wallace, how do we evolve? Do you believe how we behave during a life on Earth plays any part, or is evolving more of a matter of just accumulating experiences regardless of our behavior? Does kindness matter? Okay. So they're showing me like so this planet is like the fear love planet. That's kind of the base, those two things, right? And the fear, because they're showing it like as like a sunny day versus like a cloudy day. So, and I feel like they're using that because ultimately we are who, we're spiritual beings. Ultimately, that's who we really are. When we come here, we're under the umbrella of kind of love and fear, and we're constantly choosing. We're learning to overcome fears, and overcome even. And fear is that underlying thing, like it's underlying everything. It's underlying anger, and it underlines prejudice, and it's that underscore of everything. And then love is the other kind of underscore of all the more what we think of as positive things. And to me, what they're trying to show is that the more experience you have of being involved in kind of moving towards fear and moving towards love, that's kind of what the evolution is about. And they're saying it's understanding yourself as a soul and having these opposite things that aren't like our home at all, these darker things, these things that are, they're not represented in the spiritual realm. It's not, it's just for here, this playground or this learning place, right? That the evolution, because evolution can happen there too. Evolution can happen. That's what we do. We just grow and expand, and we create, and we try new things. We do different things, and it's all fine. Here, they're talking about like growing and expanding at a very fast rate. So when you have these experiences of feeling something we are completely not, and you're experiencing that and you're finding your way through it, you grow. And it's such a fast and massive growth experience. And it's again learning what we are, right? We talked about the white room, right? If you're in a white room, you're born into a white room, white walls, white floor, white ceiling, everything's white, and that's all you know is white. You don't really know what white is until you see black, and until you see purple, until you see green. You don't really understand fully what white is. And that's what we do when we come here. We see black, and we see green, and we see orange, and we see all of the different things that we are not, so we can fully understand what we are. Right? When you experience hate, you know and appreciate love. You fully understand love, right? You understand it in a different way. And so that's what they're saying is, and there's probably more. There's micro and macro reasons for people coming here, why we talked about at the beginning. But in a nutshell, I feel like they're kind of like, overall, how do we talk about these things, right? They're so different for every person, and different for different, places and at different times. And so, but that's basically it. So that's the evolution is the expansion of understanding. But I also feel like there is a change in what we appear as well. And this actually reminds me of something that Christian Sundberg said, which was that he has that pre-birth memory, right? And he remembers coming across a spirit that was just unbelievably magnificent. The color, the glow, he'd never seen anything like it before. And he said to the spirit, "How are you this?" And the spirit said, "Well, I've been to Earth." And so there is something, and it's so funny that that came back to me, because that there is something too that happens to our actual countenance, our actual. So there is kind of a spirit form evolution as well. It's almost like it shows on the outside, right? Just like if you went on vacation and you come back with a tan, it's like, where did you go? It's the same kind of thing, right? A spiritual tan. And then everybody wants to do it. Everybody wants to go to Hawaii. Right. So yeah, so that's that. So I hope that explains that. Because I always feel like I'm, I do my best, but I know that there are things where they're like, oh gosh, how are we going to explain this? Okay. Thanks, Jack. Oh, hi, John of New. Welcome. Hi, Craig. Okay, Craig says, I had a visitation dream. It seemed to be set in 1935, shot in a black and white in a 4:3 aspect ratio, like an old movie, soft focus but silent. But we could communicate. Clara and I expressed our love. So, yeah, with visitation dreams, any kind of dream like that, be sure to write it down, Craig. First of all, be sure to write it down. And when your guides or your loved ones communicate with you through a dream, take note of anything that you notice, because they're trying to tell you as much as they can in a really short period of time, right? Just moments. And the fact that it is like a Hollywood movie, it's black and white, it's a time period, it's definitely telling you something, Craig. It's telling you, perhaps talking about a past life. It could be talking about or an aspect of yourself that had a past life in that time. It also be talking about the movie industry. Maybe you worked in the movie industry or around the movie industry as well. So just take note of every little thing you can remember, because they try to pack as much as they can in this experience. It's a planned thing. It's not like they just accidentally fall into your dream. It's a planned experience. It's a planned experience. My out-of-body experience, it was so obvious to me that the whole thing had been planned. There were specific people there. My dog coming to get me was a planned thing. My father kind of taking the lead and my mom kind of staying in the background was a planned thing, right? So that it is very carefully orchestrated, because it's also to not interfere with your experience here in a way that is not would not be good, or would get you off track or something. And that's also why it's really good to trust your team when it comes to this stuff. If you're like, I really want this experience, or want to have a dream, whatever, trust them to know the timing, what's involved, how it comes. Just trust, because it's orchestrated in a way to give you information that you can have that's not going to interfere with your free will, with what may be coming, things like that. So yeah. Do spirits feel a range of emotions, or are they most mainly just happy all the time? Susan. So they're saying, they're bringing up the words contentment, peace. There's still because they're showing like laughter and uh, there are and there can be I say this, it's not quite like our emotions, because our emotions are very tied to the brain, right? Our emotions are very tied to that. They're a reaction to the brain. They work they work together, right? So, and it's also attached to kind of our memory bank and things like that. So we have these, this, but so they're talking about kind of like these lower level sort of depression and things like that. That doesn't happen, but they're saying you can feel like empathy or a sadness on behalf of something, but it's not quite the same. And that is one of the things that we like to experience here. It's just different. It's so different, right? But they're saying there's always a peace and contentment around everything, because you don't have, when we're here, we have such fear, right? Our ego keeps us safe and or tries to keep us safe, right? But a lot of it is through fear, just talking about this on a reading. It's so funny. Don't go down that, don't go down that dark alley, because this could happen, or this could happen, or this could happen, right? It's keeping you safe from walking down a dark alley. But it can also be trying, to a fault, because it can keep you safe and like, don't go out, don't get into another relationship, because remember what happened to your last relationship, and that was really bad. You don't want that to happen again. So you need to keep yourself safe, right? Cutting you off from love, things like that. It is so that's why we kind of have to be the master of our thoughts, and kind of watching and making sure that we're aware that not every single thing that pops into our head is the truth, right? It's just thoughts. And a lot of times, geared toward the negative, keeping us safe, right? So, so that's a big part of why we're fearful, why we are, we're scared to take risks, or we don't, we're afraid to be our authentic self. It can really be it's always something to overcome when we're here. That the ego, right? We don't have that on the other side. We don't have any of that. We don't have death hanging over our head. We don't have any of that. So, we are joyful. Our baseline is kind of peace, contentment, joy, and freedom. We have complete freedom, creativity, wanting to create, connectedness, connecting with each other. It's obvious that we're all connected, and here we feel so separate and by ourselves. So the experience gives us these lower vibrational emotions that just don't exist on the other side. We can remember, they just said we can remember like what it felt like to feel this or feel that. And we can feel it, like empathy, like sorry that somebody's going through something or something like that, but it's just not the same. It reminds me of a lot of like NDEers with when they pass, they're so happy and content that they don't want to come back, right? And even if they have family here, it's like they'll be fine. They'll be fine. They'll be here eventually, and they'll know, and it'll be fine. And that's why, because we just don't have those kind of, we don't have worry and like, oh, they're going to be, what will they do without me? And it's we know everything's okay, right? We're cut off from that here. We can get to that, but it takes some work. It takes an effort and an intention on our side to work through those things and to get to that peace and contentment. And then we have to work at keeping it here, right? Doing our meditation, doing our spiritual practice and that kind of thing, plugging in all the time to that part of us that's still connected, right? That's how we get to that. But yeah, so I hope that answers that question, Susan. Is the Earth in for a 4-year-long tower moment? It feels like rumblings are everywhere in some form or another. Okay. So it's very interesting. Don't get mad at me, but I feel like as I was moving in to do that question, I felt like everything is like it's working out perfectly. It's going perfectly. It doesn't feel like that. It feels like everything's crazy, but I feel like to me it felt like we're on track. Everything's on track. They're kind of like this, what we're going through. There's going to be more of a, if you want to look at it this way, kind of more of a descent, like there's going to be a little bit more of this kind of, if you want to call it a tower moment, it kind of feels like it feels like maybe a year and some, maybe 2. But it kind of feels like it's like an unraveling in a way. And then it just feels like I just heard like an airplane taking off. So I feel like then something happens to kind of move us. It's almost like faster into a different, what is this? Like a different frequency. So there's something, but this is the way they're talking about it. It's like this is going perfectly. And I even cringe saying that because I'm like, no, it's not. It's done. Anything will be perfect. It's not perfect. No. But it just feels like if you want to look at it as energy, right? The energy is going to kind of dip and then it just feels like it takes off. So there's there's a bottoming out that's coming. And then it just feels like we just ascend. It's like we're just raising up. So, and what that looks like the day to day, I'm not sure. But I know that, for you and I, for people that are going through this is why they said in the 2025 predictions to protect your energy. Because, if you get lost in everything going on out here, if you get lost in the news and you get lost in the drama and you get lost in the fear and the worry and all that stuff. And it doesn't mean that you might have that stuff because you live here and this is how it's going right now. But moving into that part of you that's connected every day and protecting yourself as much as you can from the things you can control. You don't have to watch. You can read a newspaper. You can watch the BBC. You don't have to watch the news where it's very polarized and very, how they are. You don't have to watch that. You don't have to watch it all day long. You don't have to dooms, or what is it called? Doom scrolling or whatever. You don't have to do that. Protecting your energy. And we talked about this. I think we brought it up with Harry last week, that you can try it. Don't take my word for it. Do a day where you're doom scrolling and you're watching the news and and do another day where you don't do any of that. And you're just focusing in on working in your garden and being with your pets and sitting in, silence and taking a walk and talking to your friend and see the difference, right? You feel the difference when your energy is being kind of inundated with negativity, and when it's allowed to be peaceful, allowed to be content, you feel the difference. And so, but that's why it's so important right now, because we're kind of doing this dip where it's kind of going to, so, you know, whatever you need to do, and it's different for every person, you know, some people are very, I was just talking to someone recently that's like, I can't be around people in this other party. I can't do it. I just can't. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't like it. I don't like being on edge. So I can't do it. That's okay. That's protecting your energy. That's what exactly we're talking about. Knowing your limits, knowing what makes you feel icky and what makes you feel good, you know, and just leaning in on the good stuff. And if you don't have a daily spiritual practice, get one. It doesn't have to be a big, huge thing. It can be just a few minutes in the morning and maybe a few minutes in the evening. That's all it has to be. It's about connecting in and keeping that connection. The other reason they told us to kind of protect our energy was because when it comes to us, we will have clarity. So that when, if anything is visited upon us, if we lose our job, if we have to, vacate our home because of some kind of disaster, we have to, if there's an illness or something like that, we will have or if there's something like vaccines or something that comes up, we will have clarity. That connection will be set up, and it will be there. So we can move right into that and have clarity on what to do. But if we're just swimming in all the stuff here, it's our equilibrium is gonna be off. We're not gonna know. And they said this in the 2025 predictions. You're not gonna know who to believe. Even readers, there's gonna be some distortion or discrepancy between even readers. Maybe this reader, you always listen to these two readers, and now they're saying something that's opposite, right? It's time to get into your own place of knowing, right? Because deep down we know what the truth is. We know where the truth lies. We know it. It's a matter of linking in and having that connection every day so that we can move into that space when we need to. And we recognize it, right? We recognize when we're in that space of, okay, and it's about, getting centered. It's not hard to do. It's about just kind of getting quiet and being centered. And then you feel it. You feel, I feel like that's wrong, or I feel like that's right. I mean, a lot of times we're doing that, we don't even know. But we're going to have moments where we're not really sure what to do, or we're not really sure who to listen to. A lot of truths coming out, right? And it's going to be truths that we're like, yes, that truth came out. And other things we're like, oh, I didn't know that about that person, or I didn't know, and being able to move into that space of contentment and clarity, and that it's okay, everything's okay, it will really be helpful. So, okay. I think I've said all there is to say about that. At least everything my guides want me to say about that. Okay. All righty. What is that? Kim. Sorry, oh no, I missed it. This thing about power outages or something. I don't get, I get stuff all the time, right? I get stuff all the time. I get stuff about natural disasters, and and so often when I first started the channel, I used to share pretty much everything, because I felt like I needed to show that I'm getting this information like this. I'm really telling the truth. I'm getting this information. And so there would be this constant kind of, it was like a feedback, because I would say something that would come true. And that was like a feedback I don't feel like I need to do that as much anymore. I felt like that at the beginning. Like I said, I felt like I needed to show, like, see, this is really happening. Now I feel like, the messages are different. They come in differently. And that even though I still get things about disasters and plane crashes and this person's going to die, this person, even though I get stuff like that, I don't really feel like it is. I could share it for my ego to be like, oh, look, I got that right, but I don't feel the need to do that. And I also, so often I will not really know, like, where. I'll just feel it coming. And usually what I do is turn to my husband and say, blah, 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 just so I have a witness in the world. But I don't usually share it out there because I don't just want to worry people. And I don't want people just to, my guides always say, if you're, whatever you're in the area for, just be prepared for that. Be prepared for that. And you'll feel, like I said, again, connecting in every day, you'll have that clarity of what to do. When you're focused and you're in the here and now, which if there's an emergency, that's what happens. Your guides will speak directly to you and you'll know what to do. Move to higher ground or go stay with grandma and grandpa, or you'll know what to do. And there is a trust that needs to happen, but you build that trust. When you link in every day and you find that quiet space and you start to feel like, okay, I feel like I'm there, like my guides are here, and I feel like I'm there. When you can move into that space, a trust builds. And you know that however things work out, whatever they were, that's okay. I'll be okay. I'll be all right. But yeah, so yeah, and Barbara says I bought a generator for all of her. Exactly. That's all you can do is just plan for what's around you. That's the main thing to do. I will say I did see some sort of big explosion, and I felt like it ends the Ukrainian war. There's some kind of explosion. I feel like it ends the war. And the only reason that I share that is because it's a, an explosion's not a good thing, but it brings things to an end. And I feel like it has to do with Russia more than Ukraine. So we'll see. But that's what I've been feeling recently. Yeah, that's great, Patty. I had an experience years ago where my dad visited from the other side on my birthday. I was enveloped in a cocoon of unconditional love. It was completely non-judgmental. I think this is God's love. Exactly. And that's what we're trying to achieve, because we have that all the time on the other side, this unconditional, complete, and that's, another thing, Andy, you talk about all the time is a complete acceptance. Whatever I was, whatever I had done, I was completely and utterly accepted. And that is unconditional love. And here we have conditions all the time, right? If you don't get good grades, I'm going to be, angry with you or whatever. If you, everything feels conditional, so often. And we're trying to get to that. It's such a challenge here because there is this idea of right and wrong and good and bad, and you're constantly riding that wave. But it's not only unconditional love for other people, it's unconditional love for yourself too, which is that's a real challenge, especially for empaths, because we're really good at forgiving other people and loving other people and doing for other people. But when we need stuff, or when somebody does stuff for us, or when we need help, or it's really hard. That's the challenge for a lot of empaths. Okay, do people know the truth after death? Do people see the truth and finally understand the lies others told them and used to brainwash them? Yes. Yeah. Again, because and you even say brainwash, right? It has to do with the brain. It has to do, and it can do with upbringing. It can do with being conditioned. It can do with being with limitation, with having limited beliefs and limited thoughts. It can had to do with education, right? There's so many things, but all of it has to do with the brain. So yes, absolutely. They do. And even if they took time, right, every day and could let everything go and just be in that space of kind of neutrality, they would know here too. But it's so many people that are really dug into this stuff. They're completely, what we would say, as we're reading A New Earth and doing the classes, that they're completely lost in ego, right? They're lost in form. They believe this is it. And so therefore I have to guard my stuff, and I've got to get as much money as I can. I've got to, I've got to be as stingy as I can. And, it's all, the world's out to get me because there's just this. And, it's a very, very limited and scary way to, fearful way to live. But so a lot of it is based in that as well. And that is gone. All of that is gone. None of that matters. And I always feel like too, that there's almost like laughter in a way, like, isn't that funny? How did I think that was me? And how did I buy into this so heavily? And I think that it is something we always forget, is how focused we are in this reality. We're so focused because we're in this body with 5 senses, and that's it. And we're focused in, and it's to give us the experience, right? It's to give us the experience. We have to be in a body. I think we've talked about this before, right? It's the only place that we have to be born into a body to have the experience, and to die to get out of it, to get out of the experience, right? So that's what's happening here. And so when we're completely focused with these 5 senses, it is real. Everything is real. You can touch this. If I can touch it, it's real. If I can see it, it's real. So everything that's around us, it's that's our reality. That's it. But once we're out of the physical body, it seems so flimsy and like, how did that happen? How did I just believe that? How did I think that was me? And why was that so important? And it's also a time where we're kind of like, oh, I wasted all my time on this, and I should have been working on this, right? And that's a lot of times what makes us go back. And then we put more maybe guardrails in place, or we have, a religious, some kind of religious upbringing, so that we definitely have that spiritual part of us at the beginning, and so we can kind of grow from that, or whatever. We put guardrails in that we think will help. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes we fall right back into, whatever. But you can see how, from that perspective, how fun it would be, right? How it doesn't seem fun when we're here, but how fun it would be to plan things and to be excited about it and think I'm really going to do it. I'm going to expand so much. I'm going to learn so much. I'm going to be with these people who I love so much. They're going to be there. All my spirit family is going to be there. You can see how it can be really, really fun and exciting. And then when we get here, everything goes out the window because we forget how we're so focused. That we're so focused in on this reality and how really real it is. Okay, I think I have time for one or two more, so let's see. It looks like you guys are okay. I just love how you guys are, how you share in the chat, and how you have these little, conversations, and how you help each other, lift each other up. Bill, I hope you feel better. Thanks for joining us. Okay. Sorry, I just moved down a little bit, find a question. Are our individual souls as old as all creation? Even older than this universe? So I feel like some, yes. And I feel like it's, definitely older than the universe. It also feels like we really do, our earthly existence really does tell the story. It's in a very condensed and small way, but it is sort of that existing and then realizing our existence, right? Realizing, having understanding that we are, right? And I feel like, and what I'm seeing is like orbs. I'm seeing like orbs, and I feel like that's a it's almost like that's the if you really want to go back, it's like that's the origin of everybody. This ball of energy, and then the expansion and this self-realization, and then wanting to grow and expand and wanting to, and in a way, everybody is kind of their own creator. It's a reflection, because they're talking about, they're going to get like it's like there is the creator, but we're all the creator. So I'm not exactly where to go with that, but that's what they're saying. There is a creator, but we're all the creator. So there's some kind of beginning, but then like a branching off. And then from there, a branching off, and then from there, a branching off. They're showing like a tree, right? A seed starts this, and then it just grows and kind of expands and moves out, and it's like, that's from this, right? From this tiny thing that became this. And so it's almost like it's telling us our own story all around us. Starting out small and getting big and getting experience and growing up and getting bigger. That's really what our origin story is as souls, is the starting out small, and then with, and even here, it's like with the light, right? With the sunlight, with the nourishment, with knowledge, with understanding, right? It's like this growth and expansion and growth and expansion. And so it's not like anything's hidden from us. They're like, it's all around you. Just look around and you will know who you are. You'll know what you are. And you'll also know how to be, right? Because, and that old, the lilies of the field or something, like to look at the flowers and know how that's how you be. It's kind of like, that's it, right? The flowers, they just are. They just exist, and they bask in the light, right? And they grow and expand, but they don't toil, right? They're not in this constant state of fretting or worrying. They just are. And they don't, compare yourself to another flower, even though there's a bazillion flowers, you just are. And so we did in the club, we did a whole thing about exactly that. What can we learn from the flowers? And it was fascinating. The things that people came up with, but they're basically saying the story of your origin is all around you. So just look around and you will see it, and you'll know. You'll remember, right? It's meant. Yeah, they toil not, neither do they spin. Exactly. The kingdom of heaven is spread across the earth, and men do not see it. The gospel. Okay, so there you go, Dan. I'm backed up by the Bible. So see, so yeah, they're talking about it. It's like it's not hidden from you at all. Look around. This is your origin. This is your story. Yeah. Yeah. With that said, I just wanted to remind you too that we have the club in case you feel like you need that lift. We do mini readings. We have a movie club. It's just a lot of fun. So if that's something that interests you, please do that. But really think about and move into a daily spiritual practice of any kind. Anything that just feels good, right? I just added Qigong into my practice. And it's really fun. But there's a million videos online. Find stuff that really appeals to you. Move to music every day and make it your spiritual practice. Sit in silence. Try to find some quiet. Take deep breaths. Eckhart Tolle, so you can take a drink. I said it. Eckhart Tolle says, one deep mindful breath is a meditation. Find time to do that, and just link in every day somehow, just somehow, and that will start that connection. And then when you need it, it comes through. It's able to come through because that foundation is set up where you're connecting in every day, and it will just come right in when you need it. Okay. All right, everyone, take care. Thank you for hanging out. And we'll see everybody next week. Yeah, I'll see everyone next week. So take care, everyone. See you soon. Bye.